So one of the bits of feedback that I see in my comment section all the time is that I tend to stick to ultra modern stuff. I'm usually looking at the Scarlet Violet era and sometimes the Sword and Shield era, but today we're going a little bit further back to explore some grading options that you should look at from the Sun and Moon era. Now, the reason I do these videos is to be able to help people to understand which cards you should be grading if you're looking to make a profit. The reason I want you to be able to make a profit is so you can expand on your own collection. It's nothing to do with just being one of these like investor bros or anything like that, but it's a really good way to actually just diversify your collection and using other cards that you might already have or you might be able to pick up that someone else isn't looking at and then grade it and get a result from it that then you can turn into more cards for your own personal collection. I've been doing this for a few months and my personal collection has actually grown quite a bit. And I've also been able to pay off some of my debt that I had, which has really helped me in the long run. So with that said, we're going to jump into today's video where we look at 10 cards from the Sun and Moon era that you should consider grading because they're worth it and they're going to make you some money. Now, two things with this video before I get started. Number one, please leave a like for me because I actually recorded this once before and the audio was chopped. I don't know why. I'm hoping it's fixed for this one, but I've already recorded this video once and this is my second time making it. So leave a like because I took a fat L the first time I tried to record this. And number two, let's say thank you to today's video sponsor, which is sushigrade.net. Now, if you don't know what sushigrade.net is, they are a website that's going to help you with this exact topic, which is grading cards. What they're going to do is they're going to give you a free centering tool to start out. So you can go over to their website and check this out. You can upload a photo of your cards. You can actually use the centering tool, which is super easy. And it's going to tell you what score it would get for grading based on just the centering. So that's one tool that they have available. Then on top of that, if you actually decide to get the paid version, you can get a bunch of other tools similar to what I'm doing in this video where it'll tell you cards that you can grade for maximum profit. And that way you can just get a list form rather than having to watch my videos, which I hope you still do. But in that case, hopefully that can help you out as well. So if you want to check them out, they're linked down in the description below. Now, we're going to speed run these because like I said, I've already recorded this once. My camera's about to run out of battery. So let's jump into it. First is the Pikachu from Cosmic Eclipse. This is such a cool card. I love the artwork. It's $93 right now. But if you look at it in a PSA 10, it has a huge upside, which is $650 to $750. If you're getting this card, again, it's one of those ones that kind of slips through the radar. People don't really pay attention to it because they're confused and looking at alt arts and all of these other things. But $93 for me is an absolute steal for something that I could turn into $650, possibly even $750 to the right buyer. So this is the first card on the list today. They're not all going to have as much upswing as this card does, but a lot of them do have, 4, 5, 6x possibilities with a PSA 10. Now, remember when you're grading, the things you're looking for is the centering, the edges, the surface, and also the corners. So there are all things to consider when you are actually grading. But this is a great one to start off the list today. Next up, a bit of a cheaper card, a $34 card, which is the Espeon and Deoxys GX from Unified Minds. Now, this one being a $34 card, you wouldn't think there is much upside in a PSA 10. However, 10x on this one, 336, 300, 330, 300, 360, 360. So there is a possibility to pull $360 out of this card in a PSA 10. And people probably aren't considering it because it's only a $35 card. Like I said, tag teams are moving up right now. So I feel like there's a very good chance that this card becomes really expensive in the future. The next one is the Mewtwo and Mew, staying with a lot of the tag teams for the theme of this video today. There's a few that aren't, but most of them actually are. Mewtwo and Mew GX from Unified Minds. This is not the one that everyone's kind of going crazy for right now. The one where Mewtwo's like kind of having a sook and Mew's annoying him in the background. That's the one that's really popular at the moment, which is, I'm pretty sure, the promo card version of this. But this one's still really cool and I like it. It's $94 market price right now. But the PSA 10 is sitting at $600 to $650. So again, really good upside, similar to the first card we looked at with the Pikachu. Now, speaking of Pikachu, let's look at another one, Pikachu and Zekrom from Team Up. Now, I say this, right? I could have easily picked a ton of cards from Team Up and Cosmic Eclipse that have the biggest jump in the PSA 10 prices. But what I tried to do for these videos is make it attainable for everyone. I make it something that anyone can go out, you can spend $50, then $25 on grading, and then you can get yourself, $600 back in return. With that said, I could have easily gone for the lilies the Lovebirds, the crazy expensive cards on this list that are like six, seven, $800 raw, and then you get them back and they're a $3,000, $4,000 PSA 10. But I didn't want to do that. I wanted to make this really easy for everyone to be able to do. So Pikachu and Zek, $34. The PSA 10 is fetching 330, 295, 384, 345. So pretty much 10x what the raw card is worth right now. And again, these are all sales in September. They're all in this month. So it's recent data, it's recent information. So you know that you've got a pretty good chance to sell it at that rate. Next up is the Lugia GX from Lost Thunder. Lost Thunder wasn't a great set, in my opinion, and there weren't really many hits out of it. But the Lugia GX, I think, was a cool one. $204, and that's kind of the cap that I put on this video. I think 220 might be the most expensive card I went for. I didn't want to do like the crazy $500 ones, but I think $200 is something that someone can set money aside for and work their way up to. And if you do, the PSA 10 can come back. This was 1,300, but best offer accepted. 962, 1,000, 1,100, 1,100, and then a couple that were a little bit cheaper here. But it's definitely worth around about $900 to $1,000 if you're looking to get something like this. It's a big expense in the beginning, not a big expense, but it's a decent chunk of change in the beginning. But the reward you can potentially get if it does come back a 10 is even more so. So we really like that card. This is another one I think is underrated. Shining Mew from Shining Legends. The Shining cards historically have always been really popular, same as like the Gold Stars and things like that. But Shining Mew, I feel like kind of gets ignored because it's not one of those like OG Shining cards. Do you know what I mean? I still think it's super cute. The blue Mew is always really, really adorable. And in a PSA 10, this can fetch you like $600 to $700. It's crazy. These are selling for 600 all day long. This Japanese one went for 117, but it's pretty much around about 600 bucks all day long. This one went for 700 as well. So that's pretty crazy. 650, 635, and there's multiple sales for these. So definitely a good opportunity there with the Shining Mew as well. Speaking of shinies, let's look at the Rayquaza GX. This is number 177A, which is a promo card. This one is $118 right now. I think this is a cool card. Like, I think GXs are kind of slept on at the moment. People aren't really paying attention to them. And one thing I've started to learn through this hobby is when people don't pay attention to something, the next thing you know, that seems to be the thing that's blowing up and gaining value and popularity. So, you know, maybe it's worth taking a look at some of these cards now while they're cheaper because they're going to go up in the future. So 550, 540, 550, 230, 599. So not as big of a gap on this one. It's probably like a 4 or 5x, but still a really cool card nonetheless. The shiny Rayquaza is always going to be popular. So consider that when you're buying this one. Next up is the Umbreon Rainbow, the secret from Sun and Moon base. This is a $90 card. It is up 48% right now in the last couple of months. You could have got this for like 60 bucks a few months ago. So you may still get lucky at a card store that hasn't repriced their stuff recently or something along those lines and get it for a little bit cheaper. But the way the market is right now, everything's going up so quickly. I feel like if you're not checking prices regularly as a card store owner, you're not doing your due diligence, and you deserve for someone to be able to buy it below market price. But in a PSA 10, 720, 674. I don't know why that one went for 1,000, but 674, 679, 650, 700. So around the 650, 700 range is kind of where this one is selling at, which is actually really good for a $90 card. I imagine these rainbow ones are probably hard to grade though, because there is a little bit of a premium there. But nonetheless, it's worth a try if you've got one in your collection or you can find one. This is a big one. The Espeon and Deoxys GX Sun and Moon promo. And again, this is crazy that this came out of a tin, because if we pull this into the 1 year chart, it's $122 now, but this was a $20 card a year ago. $27 this was going for. So not only if you had bought a bunch of these back here, you would have been up $100 right now just by holding onto it for a year, which is 359% up. And then on top of that, you could have graded them, potentially gotten yourself a PSA 10 and be selling them now for $1,500, which is crazy. So $1,549, $1,588, $1,550. So consistently selling around about the $1,500 mark, which, you know, as a promo card, that is really expensive, but how could you not? This artwork is gorgeous. I think it's a really cool card, and there's probably not many of them floating around in good condition. So if you do manage to find one, absolutely pick it up. Don't hesitate, because you'll regret it later on. And last but not least on this list today is the Snorlax promo card. This one is really interesting. Like people like Snorlax, but I feel like people sleep on this card. It's only $16. And that's after a 155% increase in the last 3 months. You could have got this for $6 back in June, which is crazy to think because the PSA 10 price is $400 to $500. You imagine you bought a card for $6, graded it, and now it is $500 in value for you to be able to sell off. Like I said, people could have bought these 6, 7, 8 at a time because they know people like Snorlax and potentially that's a card that's going to go up in the future. And they graded a bunch of them, got a couple of tens, and then waited a year. And then this is what they're doing. That's absolutely crazy to me. So, this is what you need to start thinking about with these plays. And when you're looking at grading cards, you definitely want to consider the ace Pokemon. So, your Charizards, your Pikachus, your Evolutions, your Legendaries, all of those are kind of the cards you want to be looking at when doing this because they're ones that will always be popular. They're not just a phase, they're not just something that come and go, but they are really popular Pokemon that people always tend to like. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. Thank you again to Sushi Grade for sponsoring today's video, and I will see you guys next time.